All right, welcome, Read 516. This is week 8. For this lecture, we will be discussing some upcoming assignments, how to prepare for your next student, and we'll be going over the article that you are supposed to skim this week, and that will be on adolescent literacy. All right, so just a few announcements. Um, Take your midpoint and or diversity survey. You will receive 2 extra credit points if you have proof that you did do the survey. You can do a screenshot, you can print out as the screen. Does that make any sense? Anyways, you can send me a photo, whatever you can to show me that you did take the survey. And again, I know 2 points doesn't sound that much, but every point counts in this program. And congratulations, you're halfway through the semester. So I know that um, it has been tough with trying to balance work and homework and going to class. And I know it's a lot, but you guys can do it, and we're already halfway there. And we also have our new student next week. So hopefully you are mentally ready for that. And hopefully you feel a bit more comfortable working with the student and administering different types of assessments. Okay, so our week 8 readings is we're going to have 2 of them. So there's what content area teachers should know about adolescent literacy. And this is pretty lengthy, so I think you should just skim this one and just look at the key areas. And then we have our second article, which is organizing and evaluating results from multiple reading assessments. Okay, so your assignments due is you have your student data on Google Docs. I'm not sure if anyone has submitted it yet. I haven't really checked, but please let me know if there's any kind of technological difficulties or if you have a question about how to enter a type of some sort of data. And also plan your first session with your student. Yep, right here. All right, so for session 1, which will be next week, you will be kind of doing the same thing that you did with your first student, except some of it might be different because of the grade level. We have the interest inventory, the MRP, or you can do the adolescent one. So be very cognizant of your student's age and what would be more appropriate for your student. There will be some of you that will have a 3rd grader and a 4th grader, so you would not give the adolescent one. You would give the more of the one for elementary students. You will also be administering the Curie word list. So we're going to jump right into that because the following week you will be doing the passages with your student. So again, you're going to start 2 grade levels below. So if you have a 6th grader, you will start with the 4th grade word list. And also plan to do a parent interview or survey. I know a lot of you did some reflecting on last time, so decide whether or not you want to have them fill it out or if you would like to do a informal conversation with them. And then here are some optional assessments that will be in the effective assessment folder. So you can also use the folder that was in all the way in like week 3, I think. And there'll also be a folder in the week 8 block as well. All right, so just kind of looking forward into your session 2, which is not until the 30th, you will be doing the Curie narrative and expository. So now you kind of now you're familiar with administering it, and you know all the kind of prep that goes into that, making sure you have those passages ready, passages above level, passages below. So I hope that you're familiar with that process. Another thing you will be doing is you'll take their oral reading fluency and score them using the rubric. So take a look here and make sure you are reading your practicum guide and that you know exactly what you're going to be assessing. All right, so our lecture for the online portion of this course is going to be about that lengthy article, what content area teachers should know about literacy. So our session objective, actually I put objectives, but it's actually just one objective. I'm going to be explaining the needs of adolescent readers in regard to the key literacy areas, assessment, writing, and motivation. So when you look at the article, it's broken into many sections. They're going to discuss key literacy areas, assessment, writing, and motivation, and it's mostly geared towards adolescent students, so upper grades, middle school, and high school. All right, this is a resource document to summarize and discuss the most recent adolescent literacy research and to describe research-based instructional practices. So this is not a literature review, it's just a guideline for content area teachers to look at so that they can be more knowledgeable in the instruction of reading. Oftentimes, content area teachers, such as science and math and social studies, feel that reading isn't a part of their responsibility, that should be the language arts teacher. But in fact, as we know that now that the Common Core is rolling out, that this is an area that literacy instruction needs to take place. So this would be a good starting point for content area teachers to look at to familiarize themselves with specific reading areas such as decoding, vocabulary instruction, comprehension. Like I said, a very good document to use to get that solid foundation of reading research. Okay, so the first part of it is it discusses 5 components of reading: the decoding, phonemic awareness, and phonics, morphology, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. And then the second part discusses assessment, writing, and motivation. All right, so we're going to go into the first part. As I mentioned, it's decoding, phonemic awareness, and phonics. And in the article, it kind of clumps them together: morphology, vocabulary, and fluency. Oh, and text comprehension. Okay, so let's first go over decoding, which I hope you guys are well versed in because we have been discussing this a lot this semester. So it's ability to decipher a particular word out of a group of letters. And they broke it down into some sub-skills, which would be phonemic awareness and phonics. And so we know phonemic awareness is knowing how to manipulate the sounds with no print. And then phonics is when we associate sound with the grapheme. So good readers, and as I go through this, we are talking about adolescent readers. So good readers can use knowledge of letters and sounds to pronounce unknown words. So here are some challenges for adolescent students. Okay, so there's usually about 10% of adolescent students that struggle with decoding. Now, I know 10% does not seem like a lot, but again, this is a rough amount. So oftentimes there might be more in a classroom that struggle in this area. So these students might be struggling with phonemic awareness and phonics. So these are the foundational skills, so it only makes sense that they are struggling with these areas. I know that often first graders or second graders who do not get the proper intervention in these areas will go on to upper grades still having difficulties with phonemic awareness and phonics. And this can affect many things, as we know: comprehension, vocabulary knowledge, and reading fluency. So if they're spending a lot of time trying to decode words, they are using a lot of their cognitive energy um, to specific words rather than attending to the meaning of the text. And these are the type of students that you see that lack strategies to decode multisyllabic words. So they might be able to read those 1 or 2 syllable words, but when it comes to those longer words that you do see in the content areas and those academic vocabulary, they have a hard time um, reading those words because they don't know how to chunk, or they are not proficient with phonics. All right, so what can you do? You can model phonemic awareness skills when introducing new vocabulary, provide instruction in phonics, especially multisyllabic, high frequency words. And I put page 7 because it goes into a discussion on how to do this in the classroom. Direct, explicit, and systematic instruction. Oh, let me go back really quick. Okay, so I know this sounds very elementary to some of you, but this is what these students need. If they're having trouble decoding, you just don't want to keep teaching them and telling them to sound words out. You have to give them explicit, direct instruction on how to sound those words out, especially if they're having trouble with the multisyllabic words. Okay, so moving on to morphology. This is the study of word structure. So the morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning in a word. Okay, so good readers can use knowledge of morphological structure to recognize complex words. So you're looking at root words, you're looking at base words, you're also looking at suffixes and prefixes, and the letter S can also be a morpheme. For example, if you are teaching the word bake and you said bakes, you're changing the meaning by adding the letter S. So things like that. So you want to, your readers, the strong readers, are very familiar with those patterns, but your struggling readers aren't as familiar with those patterns. So here are the challenges. Okay, they have difficulty recognizing and learning new words. This impacts their vocabulary and comprehension. Oops. Okay, so as they're reading and they don't understand these words, then that affects their comprehension. So it's kind of all tied in together. Okay, so what can you do to help in this area? You teach the morpheme's role in changing the meaning of the word. So as that example earlier, how I said add the S, or if with the same root word bake and you said add ed, well, what does the ed do to the word like baked? Well, it makes it past tense. So you are teaching those small skills to them. So it's not just, like I said, it's not just suffixes, it's root words, base words, the Latin words, things that have those meanings. Okay, so also teach syllable types, so closed, open, vowel pairs, things like that. Teach base words, prefixes, suffixes, okay, as I mentioned before. And do quick speed drills. Okay, fluency. Okay, the ability to read text accurately and smoothly with little conscious attention to mechanics. Okay, good readers recognize words automatically instead of spending cognitive energy decoding, comprehending at the word level. And as I mentioned before, these are the students that are not spending too much time slowly decoding. They can use their energy on comprehension. Okay, those are the good readers. Okay, so I'll stop at fluency challenges.